Hey, what's up, Golf Strategy School? Back here with another Golf Coach Reacts video. Today we're talking again about irons. This one comes from Dan. Dan says he's having trouble hitting his irons flush. Usually hits just behind the ball or picks it clean. Almost never a divot after the ball. So that's what we're working with. We've got two different swing views here, so we should be able to get some really nice perspective here. So let's dive in. All right, let's check out Dan's swing. We will go face on first. Let's scope it out. Well, that one didn't look too thin. I mean, it looked a little thin, but it didn't look completely picked clean. I mean, we do see a little bit of a pick here. Yeah, we get a little dirt. But I see what you mean by never the ball then. So yeah, let's look at it one more time here. Okay. And let's check out down the line on the left. That one was definitely a picker. Let's see. Okay. Just want to roll through this slow here. Gotcha. Yep. So in case you've never done one of our Golf Coach Reacts video before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to point out some things that I like, and then we're going to get to the things that we can improve. And in the comments below, I want you to let me know what I missed. Let's get to it. First off, we got good flexion in our knees. Looks like we've got pretty good balance here. Rolling through. Doesn't look like we overswing really. Club is stopping just shy of parallel. We don't get into any big John Daly positions. And it looks like we actually send the ball reasonably close to our target line. I think we're probably somewhere out here. And when we roll forward, oh, my line's faded a little early. But yeah, so we were looking out in this direction, and we got the ball started a little bit to the left. I'm guessing it's going to cut back. It's not necessarily the target that is the biggest issue for you, but more the contact, which is going to then create inconsistencies in distance. So let's look at our face on again. Again, look really nice and square. Look square here. A little bit of a shoulder tilt up. Definitely get the body moving forward. So again, the balance looks really good. We're not falling in any one direction. We're not falling forward or backwards. We do have our weight going toward the target. These are all some of the really good things that I like to see in a swing. We do have some opportunities for improvement, and the good news about these is a couple of them are setup based, which are, at least in my opinion, are easier to fix. Sometimes they're tougher to get comfortable with because it's not the same way that you have been doing things. But in terms of a swing thought carrying you through, to me, it's always been a little bit easier to fix something that's setup related rather than positionally related through the swing. All right, with that said, let's talk about our first section here, which is setup. Now, this is really far back in the stance. I don't know what club this is, but we are pretty far back in the stance for an iron. Let me reset that again here once we get set. So, again, if we go straight up, we are in the back third. I don't even do this if I have a wedge in my hand. I like to hit down on my wedges. You will hear from people in my golf league that they give me crap for hitting down so hard on my wedges. But this looks like it's maybe in that kind of 9-ish iron zone. but this ball is really, really far back in our stance. I would like to see this moved to center. So if we just come right off the button on the top of the hat and draw a line straight down, we're much more in this zone. So we're moving the ball forward a solid 3 inches probably. You know, it's at least another golf ball width that we're moving the ball forward. I would like the hands to be in a much more neutral position rather than being set so far forward as well. So if we look at, again, just kind of taking our angles into effect here, this should be a 90-degree angle. It should be 90 degrees from the club shaft to the forward-facing target line, and we've got 76. So that tells us that we've got our hands pressed 14 degrees forward. Now, a little press can be okay if it's part of your routine and part of your rhythm, but 14 degrees is kind of a lot. What you're doing now is you're hooding the club. You're making that face more vertical. So you're going to have to kind of hit down on it a little steeper and harder. So the fact that you're picking it clean, I think, is probably tied to a couple of these things all kind of merged together. I don't know, well, again, we've never talked, so I don't know what you had going on before. Earlier in your golf career or earlier in your golf season, maybe, were you hitting really, really heavy and you've kind of gotten away from it in this picking action motion? That's kind of what I'm thinking is like a cause and effect type of thing. So if you are having that inconsistency in terms of contact, it very well could be because of this big forward set, this forward press with your hands. That's a lot right there to see. Now, the other thing that I want you to keep in mind when we're looking at our swing from the down the line aspect, really the thing that I try and get people to start to realize is feel. You know, how do we actually create a good sense of feel? Because you're the one that's going to have to be sensing these things out on the course. You're not going to have me in your pocket telling you, ooh, that one looked like this. This one looked like that. So you have to learn how to feel these different things. And when we look at this one, there's a couple things that pop out to me. We're starting to lift the club coming back. We're starting to get it just going up rather than kind of back and rotating. If we pair it up with this, we can see, I like to talk about that first move being one piece, that takeaway being one piece. You can see here that we have the club being the first thing that's moving before everything gets going. And we're really kind of rocking our shoulders, not a ton of hip rotation. And I think we kind of see the same thing here. The shoulders rock down. That front shoulder kind of rocks down rather than rotating. And I think that's getting you much more steep into your swing. And that is giving you some issues with this inconsistency at the bottom. You're having a hard time shallowing it out correctly. So yeah, we get up at the top. All right, let's see if I can use my super fun tracking tool here. Let's see if we can track the path of your hands. Oh, we were tracking it for a little bit. All right, we got to there. Tracking the butt of that club. Just come forward a frame at a time. Butt of the club. Frame at a time, butt of the club. Same general spot. So this is exactly what I wanted to get to. Everything's moving, and then everything stops. We can see it on this side too. Everything's moving, moving, and then everything stops here, and we flip at the ball. So we can see, again, not a ton of hip rotation to begin with, but we can see things are starting to move, and then they have to pause in like these last two frames here. They pause. So let me go back one. We can see a little bit of rotation, but it kind of pauses so the hands can catch up and flip at it. And you can see how we're kind of scooping and lifting. You can see it a little bit here too. I'm going to let the let the path tracking go, or maybe not. Let me pull the path tracking off. So when we see the same thing here, we're coming down, we stop, we extend up, we kind of lose our hip position. That's everything's catching up, and then we're trying to kind of get through it at the very end. Now you can see that our hips right here are kind of pointing off in this direction. When we have our videos of pros up, it is at the very least at the target, and a lot of times left of the target. Now, depending on your type of physical ability, your mobility is really going to be the determining factor here. But if we get into a position where our mobility cannot match what we're asking, what our golf swing is kind of asking of us, then what I would like to see you do is to shorten the swing for better contact and really kind of focus on that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock motion. Because you can still get, honestly, 85, 90% of your power from that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock position. And we can be much, much more consistent about that and not really press us for pushing the kind of extents or the boundaries of our physical abilities, because especially when we get older as golfers, that's something that comes into account way, way more when we're getting on in our years. It's something that I certainly have experienced because I've had a lot of back issues where I'm not willing to let go of what used to be. And so then I push things too hard and I kind of wreck things. I can end up hurting myself where I'm not playing golf for several days. I can be down for sometimes up to 2-3 weeks if I really force myself. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. And the alternative. All right, before we get to our real big key here in terms of how we can fix this in just about one drill, I want you to first let me know if this has been helpful for you. If it has, make sure you give a tap to that like button. We want to share these videos with as many people as possible. And the way that we can do this is to just go ahead and give a tap to that like button. That way, as many golfers can see this as possible. So hopefully they can get some ideas on how they can improve their swing. So if we look at the alternative, to me, that alternative, like I said, is that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So when we're coming here, we're getting way past 9 o'clock, which is awesome. Like, I love this for the top of a swing. This is fantastic. I'd like to see a little bit more depth of rotation rather than just tilting of the shoulders. So, think a rotational pivot rather than a tilt. But the thing that I would really like to see work on here is this angle between our shoulders. So you can see our shoulders are kind of like this. And then we're doing a good job keeping the left arm pretty dang straight here. But remember, I talked about this triangle for separation. We want our hands to be dead center in the middle of our chest, of our sternum. That way we can get as much force into the ball as possible. And when we're looking at this, we have collapsed that left arm, that left arm across our chest a little bit. And it's really kind of putting us behind the 8-ball. So we've got a lot of little things that are kind of nickel and diming us to death in terms of this consistency of contact. So really kind of all encompassing is going to be that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And then what I want you to do here, this is really going back in the history books for stuff that I used to work on. So when I was a kid playing golf and I'd go to the driving range and my dad was sitting there watching me, one of the things that my dad and I would always do is we would do this drill called pushing the 2x4 back. So basically what we're saying is we want you to put, you can use a 2x4. We actually did. My dad was a builder. He was a construction worker. So we always had 2x4s laying around. He would take like a 18 to 24 inch long 2x4 and he would set it, on the ground behind my club. Actually, he'd snug it up even a little bit closer. So he'd get it probably this close. Let me get that out of here. He'd get it about this close to my club. And the idea is that we are going to take that 2x4 and we are going to push it straight backwards until our club naturally comes up and off the ground. What that's going to do is that's going to get you a lot more hand separation because our hands are coming straight back. It's all part of that one-piece takeaway again. If you try and just move that 2x4 with your hands, it's going to be a very jerky motion. You need to use your whole body to push that thing back. And what we're doing is while we're taking that club back, it's going to end up with our hands being more in the kind of out here zone. So we're going to get our hands further away from our body. That's probably a little bit of an exaggeration. But put that 2x4 on the ground. You could use a case of golf balls. Like if you have a case of golf balls, you could use that because that slides a little bit easier, especially on real grass, which it looks like you have. So put that case of golf balls down, again, right behind your club, and focus on pushing that case of golf balls back as far as you can, straight back on your target line until the club naturally lifts up. And what that's going to do is that's going to get you a lot more separation here between our kind of separation triangle that gives us, I guess we can call it our power triangle. But it's going to get you a lot more separation here, which is going to get you more distance. But what I really believe it's going to do, especially once we bring this ball more up to center, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to come through and sweep the ball a lot more smoothly. It's going to flatten out the bottom of your swing. So you're going to start getting better contact automatically. So really, I just want you to move that golf ball up just a little bit. Like, let's make sure it's dead center. And what you can do to make sure that you have that is just get a couple clubs or alignment sticks if you have them and lay them down just like this. Lay down one club right at your toes and lay down one club. So, maybe it comes down, let's say 6 inches inside the golf ball, but it definitely goes out and beyond our line club. You just want to have a consistent point of reference for yourself. You could even, set up your box here and then put like a coin right out here. So you know that the golf ball goes in line with the coin, just so you have that same consistent setup time and time again. So you can start to work this change into your swing. Now it's gonna be goofy. It's gonna feel a little bit weird. Again, we're exaggerating. We're really feeling like we're pushing those hands as far away as we can from our body, and we're doing it all in one piece on that backswing. And what I think that's going to do for you is it's going to get, instead of the club coming up like it has been up here, you're going to see the club coming back this direction. And if you were able to see like an overhead view, this would be even more overt and obvious to see that club line come back. But pushing that 2x4 back, or that case of golf balls, is really, really, really going to help you get a much more smooth and flush kind of sweeping motion through the ball. And once I think we have that, we can start working on some of our other aspects, like getting our hips more involved, getting through the golf ball a little bit more. But again, if this is something that you have a physical limitation for, just focus on 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, work in that zone. And I promise you, pairing up 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock with our power triangle that we have on the right is going to do wonders for you. You're going to keep the same distance. You're going to start hitting a lot more solid, and you're going to feel a lot more comfortable and confident taking these shots into the greens. So that's all you got to do. Remember, let me know in the comments below what you think I missed. Otherwise, hey, look forward to catching you in the short grass. Cheers, everybody.